Level 1, Second Lieutenant. At 22 years old, you graduate in Tucson, Arizona, commissioning as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force. 4 years in the ROTC program required 5:30 a.m. wake-up calls for grueling morning practical leadership exercises. Rigorous training at Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama secured your dream assignment to undergraduate pilot training. 3 weeks later, you arrive at Columbus Air Force Base in Mississippi for the 52-week specialized undergraduate pilot training program, where the attrition rate consistently holds at around 30%. High-speed training sorties in the T-38 Talon jet trainer take place at 345 miles per hour. Based on your class ranking, you are track selected for the A-10 Thunderbolt II attack aircraft stationed at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Arizona. At the commissioning and pinning ceremony, your father fastens the coveted golden USAF pilot wings to your service dress jacket. Ahead lies an additional 6-month, multi-million-dollar combat training course for young aviation officers. The second lieutenant's single gold bar serves as merely the first step in your long military aviation career. Level 2, First Lieutenant. At age 24, you receive an automatic promotion and put on the single silver bar of a first lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force. Having successfully completed A-10C combat training, you now serve as a wingman in the 74th Fighter Squadron. The legendary Warthog attack aircraft cruises at a modest 340 miles per hour, slower than many modern civilian airliners. The heavy titanium bathtub protecting the cockpit weighs an impressive 1,200 pounds of rugged armored alloy. The powerful 30mm GAU-8 Avenger cannon fires up to 3,900 heavy rounds per minute. Your first combat deployment takes place in 2015 to Bagram Airfield in Afghanistan. During a mission over the Helmand province, you execute a low-level show of force to protect a friendly ground convoy. Joint Terminal Attack Controller, JTAC, Sergeant Cortez transmits a rapid 9-line target briefing in less than 40 seconds of combat time. At 10,000 feet, you come to realize the true purpose of your attack aircraft: dedicated close air support for troops on the ground. You successfully fly 47 combat sorties and earn a recommendation for Flight Lead Qualification, Level 3, Captain. At age 26, you are promoted to Captain, wearing 2 silver bars after 4 years of service. You pass demanding evaluations to achieve the coveted status of a 2-ship flight lead in the squadron. A second combat deployment in 2017 sends your fighter squadron back to Bagram Airfield in Afghanistan. During a critical mission, you destroy an enemy machine gun position located just 260 feet from friendly infantry. Cloud cover had dropped to 1,200 feet, forcing you to operate dangerously low under direct enemy fire. A precise strafing run from your aircraft's cannon completely suppresses the threat and saves the lives of American infantrymen. You complete the mandatory 5-week course at Squadron Officer School at Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama. The curriculum sharpens your strategic thinking, communication skills, and leadership during complex combat operations. A captain accepts full responsibility for every flight and for preserving the life of their wingman. After 8 years of impeccable military service, your file is submitted to the Major Selection Board. Level 4, Major Weapons Instructor. At age 32, you put on the gold oak leaf of a major after a selective promotion board process. You are selected to attend the elite U.S. Air Force Weapons School at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. The grueling 6-month course teaches deep tactical thinking and the planning of complex multi-domain joint allied operations. You successfully graduate, earning the prestigious Weapons Instructor patch to wear on your left shoulder. Returning to your unit, you author new tactical manuals and certify future flight commanders. With the average age of the A-10 fleet approaching 40 years, severe spare parts and supply chain issues begin to mount. During an official briefing at the Pentagon, you candidly raise concerns regarding the impending transition to the F-35A. You argue persuasively that the F-35A cannot match the extended loiter time of the Warthog. Leadership thanks you for your valuable perspective, yet official retirement schedules for the attack jet remain unchanged. You continue to train young pilots to maximize the combat capabilities of the legendary aircraft under real-world conditions. Level 5. Major Staff Officer. At age 35, you begin mandatory staff duty to broaden your operational and strategic perspective. An assignment to Air Combat Command Headquarters brings you to Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. You draft new operational doctrines and technical requirements for close air support missions. The bureaucratic machinery of headquarters moves slowly, demanding tremendous patience and endurance from senior officers. Alongside an Army lieutenant colonel, you co-author a detailed report on the combat effectiveness of modern air support. A major general commends your work, but the overall divestment schedule for the aircraft remains firmly intact. To maintain flight currency, you fly the minimum required monthly hours in base fighter aircraft. Stepping back into the cockpit restores your sense of purpose amidst an endless stream of staff paperwork and reports. Staff work offers a clearer understanding of the high-level financial decisions made by military leadership. In your 16th year of service, your name is officially submitted to the Lieutenant Colonel Promotion Board. Level 6. Lieutenant Colonel Squadron Commander. At age 38, you pin on the Silver Oak Leaf and assume command of the 23rd Fighter Squadron. Under your direct command are nearly 300 personnel, including pilots, maintainers, and support staff. You thoroughly review the personnel files of every pilot before officially taking command of the unit. An experienced captain voluntarily reports a minor altitude bust below minimums during range strafing practice. You suspend him from flight status for 5 days to undergo standard range requalification. The incident serves as a vital lesson in integrity and uncompromising adherence to safety standards for the entire squadron. Honest acknowledgement of mistakes fosters a culture of trust between leadership and personnel across the unit. In 2020, you deploy the squadron to Al Dhafra Air Base in the UAE for counterterrorism operations. Your pilots successfully execute demanding combat missions 7,000 miles away from home. You finish in the top 10% of squadron commanders, earning a selection for senior service school. Level 7. Colonel Wing Commander. At age 44, you pin on the Silver Eagle rank insignia and take command of the 23rd Wing. Your command encompasses thousands of service members, 4 operational groups, and a multi-million-dollar annual budget. You personally sign airworthiness releases for every aircraft taking to the skies. An audit reveals hidden reporting discrepancies regarding the combat readiness of your aging attack jets. You immediately enforce strict transparency standards, which temporarily lowers the wing's official readiness metrics on paper. The Major General commanding your numbered Air Force commends your principled stance in rectifying maintenance reporting errors. You testify at closed-door U.S. congressional hearings, presenting ground truth data on the technical state of the A-10 fleet. Thanks to your compelling arguments, Congress extends the service life of the A-10 for 2 additional fiscal years. You also secure a vital contract renewal for manufacturing essential replacement parts for the 30mm cannon. Speaking truth to power in top-level offices helps preserve the true combat readiness of American military aviation. Level 8. Brigadier General. At age 50, you receive your first single general officer star following confirmation by the President and the U.S. Senate. As Director of Operations for Air Combat Command, you oversee the Air Force's entire fighter force. The finalized roadmap mandates the complete divestment of the attack fleet and a full transition to the F-35A by 2032. You pivot your efforts from saving the airframe to preserving the core doctrine of close air support for ground forces. In every briefing, you stress the critical necessity of training pilots for low-altitude operations. Peer threats and bad weather with ceilings below 1,000 feet will still require visual contact with targets. You successfully mandate the inclusion of dedicated CAS tactical modules into the syllabi for incoming F-35A pilots. New joint training standards are established alongside joint terminal attack controllers from the Army and Marine Corps. Protecting the infantrymen on the ground remains the primary objective, regardless of the airframe flown. Day after day, you work tirelessly to preserve decades of combat lessons learned for future generations of American pilots. Level 9, Major General. At age 54, you pin on 2 general officer stars and assume command of 12th Air Force. Air Force is Southern. Your headquarters is located back at familiar Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona. You preside over the formal inactivation ceremony of the legendary 357th Fighter Squadron, the premier A-10 training unit. The final class of student pilots receives their certificates before transitioning to modern airframes. Watching the ceremony unfold, you recall taking your own first steps on this very flight line 32 years prior. Currently, no other aircraft in the active inventory possesses these exact low-altitude attack characteristics. You dedicate your remaining time in uniform to bridging critical doctrine gaps in air support for ground forces, ensuring that future pilots are fully prepared for the brutal realities of high-intensity conflict remains your focus. You personally sign the final operational order deactivating the last active duty A-10 unit under your command. You keep the official pen used to sign the historic document as a keepsake from your service. Level 10, the final flight and retirement. At age 56, you complete a distinguished 34-year military career, retiring at the rank of Major General in the U.S. Air Force. Your formal retirement ceremony takes place on the flight line at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base under the blazing Arizona sun. Parked behind the podium stands one of the last remaining A-10Cs, preserved as a static display outside the wing headquarters. Your final FINE flight took place 6 months earlier, flown alongside a young captain from the final graduating class. You passed along the cardinal rule of attack pilots. It isn't high speed that wins the day, but precision and relentless determination. The wing commander reads aloud your numerous combat awards, command assignments, and pivotal testimony before Congress. Troops on the ground always recognize the iconic attack jet by the distinct low hum of its twin turbofan engines. To the infantry, the unmistakable sound of the main gun firing was the ultimate reassurance that help had arrived. You dedicated your life to ensuring American soldiers on the ground always had reliable protection from above. That was your primary mission, one that will forever remain etched in the history of military aviation.